everybody. And what I've learned now with YouTube is that the minute I click the button, we are in fact live, even though there's a little bar saying that it is about to load. Yeah, I can see what I mean? I can hear myself echoing now. There we go. Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello, hello.
All right, so we're going to wait for Bob to join us, and yeah, that's what do you think about the little announcement?
That's just amazing. What
was the announcement?
So I'm basically working with the ANA just to help them promote the upcoming Masters of Marketing. So I'll be sitting down with the CMOs of CVS, BlackRock, P&G, General Mills, Unilever, there's their Planet Fitness, and just talking about their upcoming ANA keynote, and just also much the same, who their favorite Star Trek captain is. I didn't even get to ask you that, Bob. Are you a Jean-Luc Picard man?
I have to tell you, it's tough between Captain Kirk and Jean-Luc, but I think especially after the recent Star Trek series, I got to go with Jean-Luc.
I'm a Jean-Luc guy. I just love him.
Well, the accent, come on, you got to go with it. I mean,
Tomatoes. Isn't that? I mean, that commercial is so funny, but it's right at the end when he goes, "Wait, what?" And he goes, "What are you talking about?"
I haven't seen that before. That was a great commercial.
They've done about 4 or 5 of them, and look, I'm actually upset that I've seen the others because they're not even remotely as good as this one. It's hard to top that one.
Hi, caller. How you doing?
Hey, Bob. I'm doing great. I usually am a voyeur and check out Joseph and see what's going on about this time of day. And I was actually on another call when I saw it, but I had to say hi in case I missed the after show. But
so nice to see you.
To see you. I'm excited about the conference and so happy about your partnership with Joseph because he's.
Thank you. Hey, Joe. You should know she's one of the smartest people I've ever run across in my life. She's almost too smart for me. I didn't know how to handle her when we were getting together with the BMS.
I know it.
He knows me. He knows better.
I actually can tell you that Tom, Carla, and Joey, who are on with us now, they've all actually been on Corona TV before. And Carla and I actually met in Belgium. We're both speaking at an event.
I've got to show Bob the poster, Joseph.
You got it.
Okay, I'll be right back.
All right, the poster. By the way, I'll tell. I forgot to mention this on air, but I will maybe on Tuesday. But we are going to be giving away maybe 1 or 2 complimentary registrations based on engagement and participation. So and I will make sure. Let me make Carla. Let me spotlight her video.
Okay.
So ironic that this poster, this was from when? 2018, Joseph?
Something like that.
So, okay, it gets better, Bob, because this poster was on the doors of all of the bathrooms in the women's bathroom, like full door. You go into the stall, sit down, and who's there but me?
That's
so
funny.
How could I not steal one for a souvenir?
There was one male speaker because there were about like 8 or 9 of us, and then who was chosen for the male urinals, and then there was a female chosen for the female ones.
I was the only female, so
and for some reason, and I'll take it as a compliment, I was not selected to actually stare at a man. No, but to stare at someone who was actually like, I think it might be slightly. I don't know what it's like in a woman's restroom, but I was like, it was awkward being a guy. That's all I can say.
Well, Carla, I hope that wasn't your 15 minutes of fame.
It might be, at least in Belgium, I think it was.
That's good.
We had a great conference, a great evening. We went out for dinner, and I'm just so glad that Carla that we've continued the association.
Yeah, it's been very fun, very fun.
So Bob, I'll tell you very quickly, and then I'll let the others take over from me, because the spirit of the after show is that, to quote Mike Tyson, I fade to Bolivian. and or Bolivia. But the after show is like almost like Bill Maher has his. It's actually it's intimate. It's small. It can be quite cathartic. What's so great about today is that, and it's remained small, and we like it that way. It's almost like an exclusive club that everyone is invited to.
I love it.
And so, in this case, it's all my fellow speakers. And then what I've actually done to like really take it to the next level is that every month, based on whoever shows up and shows up more than once, I then have an audience show. And so, which I have up to 9 people. And they're my audience that now become the show. So it's the people formerly known as the audience. And so it's almost like an incentive for people to keep coming back, but it's not really meant to be a carrot. It's just meant to be my way of saying thank you.
Well, hey, Joe, you build up a loyal base and you just keep letting it grow. Come on, 120 episodes? Who's doing that?
That's the thing, Bob, Tom, that's the thing. Joseph shows his genius every day by picking people like you to come on this show. And I got to tell you, Bob, I take notes, man. And this is page 1 of my notes today. You got me so excited. My neurons are just going to all blow up. I mean, one thing you said early on in the show, the optimism you brought to the show from the very start, and you inspired me to type onto my computer. Let me see if I can see it. Life is mostly blessings. In fact, we recognize our blows largely in contrast with our blessings. And some of those blows end up themselves being blessings. I mean, it was because of what you said that I typed that out to myself, and I'm going to save that to remind myself, even though I've been working on these ideas for a long time. In fact, Joseph's taught me the importance of marketing and advertising. My most recent book, Plato's Lemonade Stand, I grew up like
Tom,
most of us did.
I've told you cannot promote your books on this after show.
But there you go. So you got a selection. I got to send you more books, Joseph. This is great. I grew up hearing that old saying. Tom came to me through a Speakers Bureau recommendation as a guest. He's a double PhD from Yale. He was a professor at Notre Dame. He's written over 30 books. He's a philosopher, and I cannot get rid of him now. We always like to say I'm the house guest who never leaves, So he's had to build on an extra room for me, and here I am,
Hey, Tom, one of my again life building books that I occasionally go back to for guidance is the famous Dr. Seuss book, "Oh, the Places You'll Go."
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, people don't realize that he was a true philosopher, and he captured such amazingly deep insights in such fun stories. Yeah, and that's why to this day, he inspires us. That's a great thing, Bob.
It really is. Well, that's when you read. You said it actually better than I could have conceived it. But I mean, come on, let's face it. We really are blessed in the whole scheme of things, and we just often just forget about it and get caught up into our little crap, and think that life is defined by that little stuff, and we forget the big picture. So I don't know.
Yeah, we're just surrounded by blessings. In fact, I told Joseph not too long ago, I reread Marcus Aurelius's Meditations
for the
15th time last month, and I'd always wondered why did he start off with a couple of pages of thanking the people in his life who had made a difference, and he'll name them, like my grandfather who did this for me, my uncle who did that for me, and I came to realize only a month ago. He starts his book that way with gratitude because he realizes that if all of us will start off with gratitude, we can the places we can go, right? Yeah. But it starts with gratitude, with that sense of blessing. And that gets us over every hurdle we're going to face, through every adversity we're going to struggle with, and to the real, what you were talking about, to the real growth and the real good that we want to do in the world with our lives, our careers, our businesses. So that's just awesome stuff, man.
Cool. Can I just say that normally he basically says, you know what, this morning I reread the Odyssey 3 times. So you know, he's always dropping names, I'll tell you. But
I'm a little slow. I have to reread
Bob,
everything.
God love you.
I have some feedback coming in, but first I want to tell you one of the most interesting things here is that, you know, Tom is a philosopher, I'm a marketer, and he's becoming a marketer and I'm becoming a philosopher. Or at least I'm learning about philosophy and he's learning about marketing.
Yeah, I learn every 45 seconds I'm supposed to show a book title on here because if Aristotle ran General Motors, because otherwise, you know, philosophy, that nobody ever told me this at Yale. The biggest problem in the history of philosophy is no marketing whatsoever.
It's true.
Deborah Wall is hopefully going to be on. She's one of the 8, and she's the CMO of General Motors. So, you know,
good.
I think I might have to put you on a 1 book minimum, 1 book maximum. But I want to just tell you a little bit of feedback I got from one of my maybe my staunchest critic. If I had to say who is my strongest critic, what would you guys say?
Your wife.
Yeah, 100%. She said that was awesome, great show. And actually Duke from the ANA sent me a really nice email as well.
Well, you're an easy interviewer, my friend, and where you went philosophically was kind of mainstream for me. So you just made it so easy and so delightful, and I could see your 120 shows turning into 1,200, 12,000, whatever. You've really got a good thing going here.
And wait, is that just in 2020 or did you give it time?
No, it's until we have a vaccine, basically.
There you go.
So please let it be 2020 then. But it was it was funny. We keep it very real, like on the show and even the after show, and it was. You know, I reached out to their 23 marketers, and it was funny. Look, they're busy. They've got a lot on their plate. They're giving a keynote, and I was like, almost being like, I think, a bit idealistic, because I'm very idealistic. Was hoping to have 23 in 10 days, and I was going to double up the shows, and which would have killed me to have done 23 of these shows, because the work required is quite substantial. And so, you know, a bunch of them declined, and I kind of initially took it personally, and not in a bad way, but just I felt like I want them to experience the show, and I want them to experience this joy, and it's not what they think, you know, and they probably are thinking it's going to be very corporate, and it's clearly not. But what I realize now is, and this is a big lesson, is I'm focused on the 8. I'm focused on the 8 and maybe 9 and maybe 10. And because life is too short to worry about the 10 that didn't make it. Instead, you just triple up your energy and your effort and your passion on the ones that did. And so, like, in a way, like, even this has been a lesson in a lesson in a lesson in a lesson, you know, in terms of being able to say, just make the most of the time you have with the people that you have time with.
It's true. And just by comparison, you shouldn't never feel bad. I think you did great with 8, because if most of those people don't know you, you know, who is this guy coming into my life asking for a half-hour interview or whatever? You think about my invitation. I do all the inviting for the Masters of Marketing. It's the only conference I really program. And it takes months to get the lineup. We just completed it last week, and as I said, it took months. This year we started later because of COVID, but I started in July, and here it is, September, and so it took months to be able to get this. So 8 is pretty good in the time span that you attempted to do it.
I'm happy, and now I think we've got to hope that some of them don't watch the fact. You know, when I say 1 to 3 interesting facts about you that people might not know, it's like, just be warned. You know, open up the portal to Star Trek, and there is no coming back.
That's great.
But for the rest of the people that are on, Joey, how are you doing today? You boycotted me yesterday, and you missed a fantastic show. Let me tell you, an after show.
Well, fantastic. I did send you, as I always do, I sent you a note that I couldn't attend because it was Corona Cocktails, which is my little boy's recess.
I know.
Send us all a note. The rest of us were bereft. We were Joey-less.
I sent a note on yeah, I always send a note because I'm polite. And I'm sure it was a great show. They're all great shows. Yeah. So I apologize. I'm here today, and I'm doing the best I can. That my hungry children that I'm neglecting right now.
No, it's okay. You're always very welcome here. You know, just two things to share with you guys, because it is a Friday and we're wrapping up. By the way, anybody wants to jump in and shut me up, I'll shut up. You know, I've just got a bit of verbal diarrhea because I'm happy that Bob's here. But John Battelle was on this week, and there was an insight that reminded me of what you said today, Bob. He spoke about how difficult it is to be in the media business now, to be starting a media property. He just started one now called The Recount, which is, you know, video-based, kind of not impartial political commentary. And he said the problem has been that the whole landscape has been unstable. And he used that word, that when the landscape is so unstable, he used, you know, I'm sure you're all familiar with that he said the old media line. If somebody says, how do you make a small fortune in the media business? Start off with a large fortune. And, you know, and he spoke about how, like, the you know, when the ground is so shaky and almost quicksand, it's impossible to build something that has a solid foundation. So there was that. And then the other thing yesterday, it's still haunting me today. Kudo was in, you know, Zimbabwe growing up, and he was walking to school or going to school every day, and he saw a bunch of, I hope I don't mess this up. You were there, Tom, so you'll remember it. Two girls, I guess, playing in the yard every day. And eventually they said, come play with us. And he said, well, don't you go to school? Why don't you go to school? And they said, well, our parents died. Or I don't know, were killed or died, and we live with our grandparents, and so and he said, well, what are you doing here? He says, we're just waiting to die.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I went cold. He said it was that moment. He got a Fulbright scholarship at the top university in in Zimbabwe, but he left it all and he came to the US with $40 in his pocket, and ended up going to college here. And so you talk about the power of hope, and sometimes how, you know, that with all the stuff going on, right, starting a new business, trying to make it, you know, going through layoffs, whether you're the one laying off people, being laid off, you know, that ultimately we always pull through, and we pull through by sharing stories and sharing insights and coming together and helping one another. But I just wanted to share those two things because they just left a mark on me.
Well, think about the courage that he had to be able to do that. And, you know, that's not a trophy society like we are. You know, everybody's got to get a trophy. That's a story of ambition, of seeking higher ground and really working hard with practically nothing to be able to overcome that. That's an amazing story.
And what I loved about the story too was that when he turned down the scholarship that was the star on a crown, he turned it down. Everybody says, are you crazy? And he said, I want to go to America. Well, it took him for 2 years. It took him 2 years before his dream could come true. And during those 2 years, people were saying, you see, you know, you see, we told you so. But he talked a lot yesterday about risk and the willingness to take on the risks that are right for each of us and true to our hearts, you know, our heart's desire, the things that can inspire in us the determination it takes to go against all odds. But he told us about the actions he took, like asking to work the night shift at an internet cafe so that when they closed down, he could have free internet access to the US and apply for college, because they had no internet access at their home in Zimbabwe. So he
slept there. He actually slept there. He slept in that so that he could do his essays and everything. And that's why I think also, you know, as I said, I didn't want to single him out too much on the show, but Mark Pritchard, I mean, you know, if you P&G, they're using the same positioning, right? Force for good, for, you know, right. for force for growth, and I think he really has been a leader. You know, he's
been phenomenal. He puts his money where his mouth is. You know, if I think about the number of times Mark has either spoken at an event or jumped into some kind of task force meeting or whatever, it would probably be the equivalent of all other chairmen of the ANA combined. He is willing to do whatever it takes in order for that agenda to succeed, and particularly in equality and inclusion. It is his fundamental belief that we control the destiny of that, and in fact, we can really change society, and we don't have the courage to do it. We're learning how to get the courage, but we still do not have enough courage to be able to pull this off.
That's very true. And Bob, before I forget, I just want to praise also your insight today about the concept of best practices. I think that's pretty profound, because there are so many people over the last 20 years who've taken the concept of best practices to be almost a cookie cutter, right, paradigm. Here, go and do this. This right. worked for, and that's been a problem with a lot of business literature in the last 25 years. Here's what Apple did, and here's what this company did, and that company did, as if all we need to do is embrace exactly that and do it the exact same way. And your point is so profound that what was a best practice for company A might be a stimulus and spark of inspiration for company B, but right. they're going to realize that spark in a very different way. They don't have to copy in order to benefit from having heard about a practice that worked somewhere else. So we share without the pressure, and we listen without the pressure of conformity to what worked for somebody else, but we let it stimulate our own innovation. That's great.
I think that's a really great point that both of you made, because I think that's when you see marketers fail miserably and they quit trying and they quit having the courage, is because really all they're trying to do is copy and paste instead of really looking at the root of what made it successful. And I think that's why Mark Pritchard is such an amazing CMO, is that he's able to think at the very root level what works and to continually use that for inspiration for his work.
He just did it yesterday, Carla, when he spoke at our Media and Measurement Conference, and he pretty much said that he's taking P&G out of the upfront, and literally just going and working direct with the broadcasters directly, or the platforms, or whoever he's dealing with. It's not a knock on the agencies, but it's basically saying is that we cannot optimize our media buying if we just stay true to the old tired legacy ways of doing business. We have to reinvent and change, and he has the courage to do it too.
It's interesting. As a philosopher, I've had this unusual experience of doing over 1,200 talks for business groups and association groups, and I've seen something in the world of speaking that you also see in the world of business. People copying each other without sometimes explicitly realizing they're doing it. People wearing the Steve Jobs black turtleneck to emulate, as if the magic is going to rub off. At Yale, there was a charismatic professor. All his closest students spoke exactly in the same tonalities, the exact same rhythms, and used archaic vocabulary that only he used, and they didn't even realize, half of them, they were doing that. That's the extent to which the best practices paradigm kind of insidiously enters into making people clones where they should be their own originals. And so when we do come across somebody who is a true original, we're like, okay, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Isn't that called influencer marketing?
But I have to say, one of the things that's come through this is, and I've said this, often, which is when you do 120 interviews, give or take, things that are different stand out. It's like a hot knife through butter. And today, this thought about courage really resonated strongly, because we've spoken about different personality traits, but not many people have spoken about, we talk about risk, but risk and being risk inclined or risk taker, that's one thing, but courage is just such a rich, powerful human trait. And to be courageous as a leader, as a marketer, courage is Nike, right? Courage is Patagonia. Right. Courage is, in this day and age, to quote Jeffrey Hazlitt, is to pick a side and recognize that you could, all things being equal, lose half of your audience, 49 to 51%, like this, that takes courage.
Well, Joe, you've been courageous. I mean, look what you've done.
Yeah, it's true. It's really.
I don't think you had any idea when you started this that you were going to have this many episodes. Would you? Did you have any idea this would last this long?
No, I mean, not at all. And you know, but you know, maybe 3 months ago, I made the commitment to say, I don't know what tomorrow holds, but I'm in it for it. You know, I came up with this arbitrary idea of 2 years, and now it's just been, you know, transformational. And my courage is not to worry about metrics and analytics and eyeballs. You know, my courage is to be true to myself and to focus on perfecting my craft, and allowing this to take me where it was meant to take me. And that's hard, by the way. That does take courage, because there are elements of fear and insecurity, you know. And one of the most amazing things that's happened, and it's happened very naturally. First of all, I suck at taking compliments. I hate it. But I've learned, but people said, you know, you should be able to say thank you. And so that's been a learning, right? Which is when somebody says something nice to you, say thank you and just let it sit. You know, it's fine. It's not about you, actually. It's about them. But the other part of this is, it has felt so good when I hear people like, you know, like James Rollins and, you know, some of those, I put those sound bites into the show credits because it just makes me smile. It's not about, you know, it's not about me feeling good about myself. It's about a reflection on the fact that I'm doing something good, you know. And so, like, you know, but who knows where it will lead. I'm just happy that you guys show up every day.
Well, 2 other things came up today. 2 other words I think are really importantly connected with courage. One was curiosity, and one was community. And both those things, I mean, I've seen Joseph develop now. So I've been to most shows since I was on a month and a half or 2 months ago, whenever it was. And I've seen him not be like other interviewers with a set list of 20 questions they're going to ask, but he follows his curiosity and lets the conversation go where it goes. And that takes courage, right? That takes courage, because you don't know where it's going to go. And then as he's built community over time, you know, like today, the folks who are on this after show is a sampling of the people who come and go and come to after shows when they can. The community then helps build the courage. We bring our courage to community, and community gives it back to us, right? A supportive community. And then the community also helps with the curiosity, because things spark between us that couldn't have happened without all of us, you know? So it's just a wonderful alchemy to see take place.
Can I give you one more C? I'll give you one more C that Bob gave us today, which he got from his hero Peter Dolan, common sense. You know, there was a quote yesterday. I forget who said it, but it was on the show yesterday, which is the longest distance in the world is the 18 inches between the head and the heart.
Oh yeah.
Well said. Well said.
So you know. All right. Well, listen. It is on the half hour, and I'm trying to stay true to keeping this after show for 30 minutes. Bob, you have given me over an hour and a half of your precious time, and it has been precious.
Joe, you're precious. So thank you for all you do. It's been an absolute delight. I really enjoyed it.
So your 8 CMOs are
here too. Thank you.
Yeah, come back anytime. You are always welcome. In fact, you know, when these 8 interviews take place, if you want to Zoom bomb your speakers, you can do that. We'll call it a Bob bomb. I don't know, but you're welcome. You're welcome any day, and your eight CMOs are in good hands.
Thank you so much. Good luck to everyone. Enjoy.
Thank you so much.
Great to see you, Bob.
Thank you. Be well.
Bye, Bob. All right, for the rest of you, I'm just you can stick around if you're here for another few minutes. I'll just stop the live